You are exhausted, not from work, not from life. You are exhausted from managing other people, their opinions, their choices, their reactions to you, as if you were personally responsible for the emotional weather of every human being in your orbit. And here's the thing nobody's told you. That exhaustion is not a personality trait. It's a prison you built yourself, brick by brick, every time you tried to control what someone else thought, felt, or did. This video isn't a book summary. It's an intervention, because Mel Robbins didn't write the let them theory to give you a cute mantra. She wrote it as a gut punch to the part of your ego that's been silently running the show. The part that whispers, if I just explain it better, if I just try harder, if I just fix this one thing, people will finally act the way they're supposed to. That voice is lying to you, and it's costing you everything. Let me give you a story. It's 2002. A woman named Karen gets passed over for a promotion at a mid-sized marketing firm in Ohio. She knows her work is better than the guy who got the role. She spends the next 4 months doing everything right. She overworks. She over-explains. She changes how she dresses, how she speaks in meetings, how she responds to emails, all trying to get her boss to see her differently. She becomes obsessed with engineering his perception of her. And she burns out, not from the job, from the performance. Karen is you. Karen is me. Karen is basically every functioning adult who was taught that love, success, and belonging are conditional on making other people comfortable with who you are. Here's the psychological truth underneath that story. You were wired, probably as a kid, to confuse influence with control. You learned that if you adjusted your behavior enough, if you were good enough, small enough, loud enough, quiet enough, you could change how people treated you. And sometimes it worked. So your brain filed it away as gospel. Other people's behavior is a problem I can solve. But it isn't. And chasing that solution is what's making you sick. Mel Robbins calls this the control trap. And the reason it's so hard to see is because it disguises itself as love, as ambition, as being a good friend, a good parent, a good partner. You tell yourself you're invested. You're just caring deeply. But at some point, caring deeply about someone's choices becomes a full-time job managing your own anxiety about those choices. And that's not love. That's control dressed in a trench coat. The let them theory is the antidote. 2 words that are so simple they almost feel like a joke until you try them for the first time and realize they require a total dismantling of everything you believe about relationships and self-worth. Let them. Here's where people get it wrong immediately. Let them does not mean don't care. It does not mean roll over. It does not mean become a passive, enlightened monk who floats above all conflict on a cloud of detachment. That's not the theory. That's avoidance with a philosophy degree stapled to it. What it means is this: other people are going to do what they're going to do. Your sister is going to vote differently than you. Your friend is going to choose the partner you think is wrong for her. Your coworker is going to take credit for work that isn't fully theirs. Your kid is going to make a decision you hate. Let them. Not because it doesn't matter, but because your interference, your frantic, well-intentioned, anxiety-driven interference, is not going to change the outcome. It's only going to change you, and not for the better. Consider Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the known world by every metric. And he spent decades writing private notes to himself, what we now call meditations, reminding himself of one thing over and over: you cannot control what happens. You can only control your response. This wasn't philosophy for Marcus. It was survival. He was surrounded by senators who wanted him dead, generals who undermined him, a wife whose loyalty he questioned, and a son, Commodus, who would eventually destroy everything he built. And Marcus didn't solve any of those problems by micromanaging them. He solved them by choosing daily where to put his energy. Most of us are not running an empire, but our brains act like we are. Every social slight, every unanswered text, every person who didn't invite us, didn't praise us, didn't behave according to plan. Our nervous system treats it like a 5-alarm threat. Why are you still doing this? Why are you spending mental real estate on what your coworker thinks of your presentation? Why are you rehearsing arguments in the shower with people who aren't in the room? That is not rational behavior dressed up as caring. That is your nervous system stuck in a loop it doesn't know how to exit. Let them is the exit. Everyone focuses on the let them part, and they miss the part that makes the whole theory land. Let me. See, Mel Robbins isn't just asking you to release control of other people. She's asking you to reclaim control of yourself. And those are two completely different projects. Let them post whatever they want. Let me decide what kind of person I'm going to be. Let them talk. Let me build in silence. Let them doubt you. Let me stay focused on what I'm actually building. This is not a passive philosophy. This is a direct transfer of energy from the endless, futile project of managing other people's behavior straight into the only project that actually moves the needle. Your own choices, your own growth, your own life. Here's a story that illustrates this perfectly. In 1995, a woman named J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare in Edinburgh. She had a manuscript. She sent it to 12 literary agents. 12. Every single one rejected her. Some of them didn't even bother to write back. The advice she got from people who supposedly knew the industry was to get a day job and give up on fiction. The publishing world had spoken. It had collectively decided her story didn't have a future. Let them. She kept writing. She found a small publisher. And you know the rest. Now, I'm not saying the theory guarantees Harry Potter-level success. What I'm saying is this. Every minute Rowling spent being bitter about rejections was a minute she wasn't spending on the next page. The theory isn't about outcomes. It's about where your attention lives. Where is your attention living right now? Is it living in what you're building? Or is it living in the scoreboard of who's recognized you, who's wronged you, who's ahead of you, who hasn't texted back? Because the scoreboard isn't real. You made it up, and you can stop keeping score anytime you want. Here's where the theory gets genuinely uncomfortable. Because it's one thing to say let them about some acquaintance you barely care about. It's another thing entirely when it's your mom, your best friend, the person you've been with for 7 years. And Mel Robbins doesn't let you off the hook here. She goes straight for the hardest case. People you love behaving in ways you cannot stand. Your mother keeps giving you unsolicited advice about your choices. Your best friend is self-destructing in slow motion and won't hear you. Your partner keeps doing that one thing that makes you feel invisible. And your instinct, your loving, terrified, totally human instinct, is to try harder. Say it louder. Find the magic combination of words that finally breaks through. But here's the ugly truth. You cannot love someone into becoming a different person. You cannot argue someone into self-awareness. You cannot guilt someone into choosing better. All you can do is love them as they are, hold your own boundaries, and let them be exactly who they've decided to be, while you decide who you're going to be in response. This is not abandonment. This is not cruelty. This is the most mature, most loving thing you can do. Because the alternative is spending the next decade in a low-grade war with reality, trying to bend the world into a shape that matches your expectations. And nobody wins that war. Nobody. The British philosopher Bertrand Russell, a man who had opinions about literally everything and wasn't shy about it, once wrote something that stuck with me. He said the fundamental cause of all human trouble is that the stupid are certain, while the intelligent are full of doubt. I'd modify that slightly. The fundamental cause of most relational trouble is that we are certain about what other people should do, and full of doubt about what we should do. Flip that. Be certain about your own path, and let other people navigate theirs. So how do you actually do this? Because theory without practice is just a good conversation at a dinner party. It doesn't change anything. Here's how it lives in your body. The next time someone does something that sends you into a spiral, a comment, a choice, an action that makes your chest tight and your mind start spinning, stop. Before you react. Before you text back. Before you make the face or start the speech or run through the scenario 17 different ways. Say it. Literally say it out loud or in your head. Let them. Then ask yourself one question. What do I want to do? Not what should you do to fix them. Not what will make them feel a certain way. What do you want? What is your next best move? That pause, that tiny disciplined pause, is where the entire theory lives. In that space between stimulus and response, you have a choice. You can spend your energy on them, or you can spend it on you. Most of us, most of the time, have been choosing them. Not because we're weak, because nobody ever told us we had another option. You have another option. Here's what Mel Robbins is really saying underneath all of it. You have spent so much time and energy and heartbreak trying to be enough for other people that you forgot to ask whether they are enough for you. You've been so busy auditioning for a role in other people's stories that you haven't written your own. The let them theory is not a magic solution. It's not going to make your relationships painless or your life drama-free. People are still going to disappoint you, still going to choose differently than you choose, still going to misunderstand you, underestimate you, overlook you. Let them. Because the moment you stop fighting for their approval is the moment you start fighting for your own life. And that fight is the only one worth having. You already know what you need to do. You've known for a while. The only thing standing between you and it is the story you've been telling yourself about what everyone else needs to think first. Drop the story. Let them think whatever they want. And get to work.